Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Tree of Woe Wrestling Podcast. I am the Black Patriot, and this is the Wrestling Podcast where we always put wrestling first because wrestling is the number one priority. Remember, like, comment, share, subscribe. It's a small thing for you, but to me it means the world, and it means the world to the channel. How do you absolutely eviscerate WWE and kill it in the wrestling landscape in 1 week? By booking competent wrestling programs that promote fan engagement and put wrestling, the art of professional wrestling, before corporate greed, before corporate sponsorship, before ad placement, before partner mentions. You put the art of professional wrestling first, and you go forward in the name of the Lord. That is how WWE systematically dismantled. That is how AEW, systematically dismantled WWE in a weekend. It started on Wednesday. It ended on Sunday. It started on Wednesday with Dynamite, ended on Sunday with Double or Nothing. Without question. AEW Dynamite was better than the previous Raw, the SmackDown that followed, and then the follow-up Raw on the Monday after Saturday Night Main Event. And obviously, if you want to compare PLEs, there's no comparison. Saturday Night Main Event doesn't compare to AEW Double or Nothing in any sort of way. This is how you systematically pick apart your adversary and dismantle their system from top to bottom. AEW Double or Nothing was a treat for wrestling fans, a breath of fresh air for anybody who's done with the cookie cutter, kiddie, sing-along bullshit that you're getting in WWE. If you're tired of BS wrestling matches with absolutely no storylines, then now might be the time that you actually give AEW a chance. You might see something that you like. I made a video a few weeks ago about all the different wrestling promotions that one could watch instead or even in addition to WWE. Where did this mindset come from in a subset of wrestling fans that for some reason feel like they can only get their wrestling feel or their pro wrestling grappling fix from WWE? That is not the case. You do realize that wrestling shows are being put on all over the world. They're even wrestling in dirt rings in Nigeria. Wrestling is being put on every continent on the planet. Yet you will focus only on what's going on in WWE. Like what is going on in WWE is groundbreaking. The current product is not groundbreaking. It needs to be under the ground, resting in a coffin, because it is practically dead. WWE is the Walking Dead. A rotten, necrotic, bag of flesh and bone, barely hold together, just shambling along because people still watch it. Because not because it's good, because that's all they've ever watched. AEW proved one thing, and it's the thing that makes me the most frustrated with AEW, is that they can be better than WWE. They have been better than WWE. Double or Nothing proves that they still got it, that they can give you a all-around better product when they care to. Many times in AEW that I've went, who booked this crap? I'm not going to sit up here and act like AEW is spotless. AEW is doing the best that they can. But I will tell you, based on what I saw this week in wrestling, WWE is not touching AEW. Nothing WWE has produced this year was better than AEW Double or Nothing. And I called it, was last year, Blood and Guts. That was the best wrestling show that year. And it was on free TV. So this is not isolated incidents. This is simply AEW not staying consistent. They'll give you amazing shows like Double or Nothing and Blood and Guts and the Go Home Dynamite for Double or Nothing. They'll give you amazing shows, but they'll sprinkle a whole lot of stinkers in there as well. But that's what we need to get past. We need to get past the stinkers. We need to get past the random wrestling matches without story, without the random who is this guy. Stop bringing out jobbers. Stop bringing out curtain jerkers. You had your AEW champion defend his title week in and week out. Stupid. Defending the title against people that don't deserve a title shot. Where you know that they're holding the title for MJF, and so none of these jobbers were literally a threat to Darby, and none of them were going to win. Darby himself isn't even a threat. The world champion isn't a threat. He had the title for like 40 days. Right back to MJF. AEW is in a unique position to become the #1 wrestling promotion in the world, and not even by their own doing, because WWE is committed to being the worst wrestling promotion in the world. The biggest with the brightest lights does not mean the best. It just means they have a 50-year head start. WWE has been around in some form of incarnation since what, the 40s? Vince Sr. started it when it was worldwide wrestling, had multiple W's. Before then it was like Capital Wrestling Promotion. So this company has been around for decades. That is the fan base. People that have been watching WWE their whole entire life and just won't switch. When AEW can put on cards like Double or Nothing. The first match of that show, FTR versus Cope and Cage versus Edge and Christian. A match that was not only for the World Tag Team titles, but also for the fact that if Edge and Christian lost, they wouldn't be able to tag together again. You talk about carnage. You talk about weapons. You talk about a match that's supposed to feel like a street fight or a hardcore match or some kind of brutal. When they have these matches in WWE, they're just so bland. Like, people don't even bleed anymore. The matches are dumb. This came off as an old school wrestling bloodbath, a horror match where people were getting hit with center blocks, flaming tables, barbed wire. Just like, this match was more violent than the Briscoe Ciampa match from Dynamite, which devolved into a bloodbath as well. This match was a good way to start off the show, because it gets your expectations up. You know something's going to, like, if they're going to start with people getting bust in the head with center blocks, then you know where the show is going. When we start setting tables on fire, you get that old school wrestling vibe. Of course, Cope and Cage won the match. Did you think they wouldn't? You think they're going to break up right now? No. And this is what needs to happen. They've been chasing these tag titles for a good little while now. They've been in this orbit with FTR for several months now. It's about time we got some payoff. And God forbid you save the payoff for a pay-per-view. Something WWE doesn't seem to realize. That the good things should happen at pay-per-views, and when they happen at pay-per-views, they should stick. After this match, we get Okada versus Takeshita. This match was excellent. This match was for wrestling purists. This match had everything. This was a technical match, Japanese strong style. I mean, what did you expect from Okada and Konosuke Takeshita? What did you expect, yo? And then Takeshita gets the dub because, of course, he should. I'm not saying Okada is an aged veteran, but you know, Takeshita is the young stud, the young up and comer. This is a match that I would say you should just watch just for the love of wrestling. When was the last time you seen a match like that in WWE where two guys put it all on the line and it's just like for the love of wrestling? If you are a fan of Japanese strong style technical wrestling, catch as catch can, watch this match. And then get back to me. That's all I'm going to say. Watch this match, then get back to me. You want to talk about story. You want to say there's no storylines in AEW. Then why, oh why, did the Don Callis family turn on Takeshita? Why, oh why, did Kyle Fletcher come out there and assault and attack him? There are stories. You're just not paying attention. The story in the tag team match, the opening match was, can Edge and Christian overcome a younger, stronger, better tag team? Not only is the belts on the line, their right to be to continue tagging together was on the line. There are stories. You're just not paying attention. Next, you get an Owen match on the women's side. Mina Shirakawa versus Athena. This was probably the least interesting match on the show, but it was not a bad match. It wasn't a banger, and there wasn't really much story involved in this, except that they've been wrestling each other for several weeks. But it was a good match, and of course, Athena is going to win. I didn't think Mina was going to win. I actually thought this match would have been better if it was for Athena's Ring of Honor World title, but I don't book these. I don't book these shows. Athena gets the win to advance in the tournament, and as you knew she would. Moxley versus Kyle O'Reilly for the second time in 1 week. Let me give you some nuance to this. I thought the match on Wednesday was extremely boring. This match was slightly better. I like Kyle O'Reilly, not a real fan of John Moxley. I think John Moxley is very boring. This match was okay. Moxley finally got those tap out submission over Kyle O'Reilly, who has previously tapped him out twice, who survived him on Wednesday. They run it back. And because AEW have a bunch of titles, and I'm just getting back into it, I don't know what belt Moxley have. I don't know if it was the Continental or the International or the All Atlantic. I don't know, but Moxley retains his title after an ankle lock. During the match, it was a kayfabe injury to O'Reilly's leg, and obviously Moxley targeted that. Eventually gets the ankle lock submission. The match was better than Wednesday, so I'm not going to complain. It could have been off the show, but that's neither here nor there. Then we get Samoa Joe versus Will Ospreay, and obviously this match was a banger. Do I need this? This match was a banger. Straight up. And Joe himself proves that at this stage of the game, after being in the industry for several decades now, Joe still got it. Joe is still one of the most believable promo workers in wrestling, and Joe is still one of the most believable wrestlers in wrestling. He's not stiff. He's not hurting and injuring people, but everything Joe does seems real. So you take Joe's realness with Ospreay's aerial assassin technical prowess with the more vicious style of the Death Riders, and you get another match that is for wrestling purists. If you enjoy hard hitting technical technical wrestling, strikes, kicks, aerial things, grapples, this is the match for you. They had a banger, man. They had a banger. This was an excellent match. Obviously, Ospreay was going to win because that is what Joe is there for now. Joe is there to elevate younger talent. Obviously, Ospreay is going to win. Ospreay should possibly win the entire Owen and go on to become the world champion at some point. Like I said about LA Knight, I'm going to say it about AEW and Ospreay. Stop dangling Ospreay in front of us, getting our hopes up. Just put the damn title on him already. I actually thought it would have happened by now. But let's talk the story now. The story is Ospreay was injured by the Death Riders. Now he's being rebuilt by the same stable that injured him. And you can see their style in his style of match. He was a little bit more vicious, a little bit more grounded, a little less aerial assassin, and more ground and pound, more smash and grab, if you will. That's the Death Rider style. That is the story. Next, but yeah, Ospreay defeats Joe in a thriller. The story is he's being molded into the Death Riders. Next, you get another banger, another absolute banger. And let me be perfectly honest, because I've said it on record, I don't care about Bandito. But I do care about wrestling. And I do care about great wrestling matches. And that is what this match was. Excellent. This is another banger. Another match where two guys just get it. Two guys that's going out into the ring. They're in a blood feud. They hate each other. Swerve has attacked Bandito's neck, so I understand why Bandito would be fuming. And I mean, excellent match from top to bottom. Technical wrestling, high flying, violence, hard hitting. You would think these guys were trying to kill each other. This is what I'm talking about. And as I mentioned, as I alluded to, the story is that Swerve injured his neck. We know how serious neck injuries are in wrestling. They've been going back and forth with each other for weeks. There is a storyline. You have to pay attention. And it's not even that the storylines are so deep and intricate that you need to pay attention. Just watch the fucking show and stop acting like WWE is superior. Stop just saying there is no stories, but you don't actually watch the product. Shut the fuck up and watch the show, and you will see what's going on. It's not that hard. I stopped watching AEW for months, and I'm now just getting back into it because WWE is terrible. But I didn't stop watching AEW because it was bad. I stopped watching because I always end up working on Wednesday nights. But watch the product, and then you will care. Instead of going, do you care? But do you care about these people? Watch the fucking show. Next, you get Tekla versus Jamie Hayter versus Shida versus Chris Statlander. All former women's champions versus the current women's champion. You want a story? There you have it. Chris Statlander was the champion that lost to Tekla. Of course she wants her title back. Shida is already a 3-time women's champion. Of course she wants to be a champion again. Jamie Hayter was once the most popular, most over woman on the roster when she was the world champion. Of course she wants to get to that level again. Shida and Chris Statlander has been teaming. You could see there been tension in that team for weeks now. And I actually like where they're going with Shida. I like Shida talking. I like seeing Shida's personality. There's no reason for Shida to remain silent and stoic. And Shida even turned on Chris Statlander in this match, breaking up a pinfall that Chris had Tekla covered with her kendo stick. There's story there. Tekla had won this match as she should because of what I've said. In the absence of Mercedes Moné and Toni Storm, Tekla has stepped up and saved this division because without those two, it could crumble. Because I'm not going to sit up here and act like the women's division is the best booked division. It's better than WWE's women's division by far, but still could be better. It could be better, yo. I'm not going to sit up here and act like everything AEW has been doing, but it could be better. Let's just say that. And Tekla has been awesome. Absolutely. If you are unfamiliar with her, start in Japan and then make your way to AEW. Follow the trajectory and you'll see how awesome Tekla really is. And I really believe that she should hold this title as long as possible. Even beating Mercedes or returning Toni Storm. Let's just see where this Tekla train goes. Next, you get the Stadium Stampede match. Team Jericho versus Team Ricochet. Team Jericho is the Elite with Kenny Omega and the Hurt Business. You get, for Ricochet, the Don Callis family. That's the Dogs. That's Andrade. And you get Team Ricochet that I'm not very familiar with. I'm not going to lie. So some of these wrestlers I'm not familiar with, but this match in general is a blast. A fun match. Not taking itself as serious as the rest of the card. But when you get a bunch of guys like this together, it could either be a debacle or it could be amazing. This was a really fun match. Not the best, not the most technical, not for a wrestling purist. This is just I can't say nothing more than fun. It's like when you get back in the day when you used to have the original elimination, not elimination chamber, but Money in the Bank matches when Shelton would stack ladders and run up in all these different spots. It just seemed like a fun match, something that the crowd can ooh and ah to. And oh yeah, and this crowd was hot. This crowd was hot throughout the show. That is what a wrestling audience is supposed to sound like. You know why you don't get this in WWE anymore? Because the crowd is bored out of their mind. This crowd was not bored. They were engaged. They were entertained. And you could hear it. And this is one of those matches where it seemed like the guys in it were just in there to have a good time. A similar match to the one that we saw on Dynamite. That was another just overall fun match. Lighthearted. Like, just entertaining, but in a way that you could laugh at. Basically, you like, oh, that's hilarious. Oh my God, look at this crap they're doing here. That's crazy. But AEW gets it when they want to. Because like I've been saying and I've reiterated throughout this video, they don't get everything right every time. But when they want to, they get it, yo. They just get it sometimes. And that brings me to the main event. Darby Allin versus MJF. And in my notes I put, MJF wins to take the title off this face-painted lunatic, young. Taking nothing away from Darby. I like him. But you don't have a world title open challenges on free weekly TV. My notes are correct. That is not something you do. You don't have a world title open challenge. You don't give random superstars a chance to be world champion who have not earned it. You devalue your title. What did Speedball Mike Bailey do to earn a title shot? What have Kevin Knight done to earn a world title shot? Like, you just don't do it. But you want the story? The story is, because of this ridiculous open challenge, Darby Allin has been burning it at both ends. His body, everything, he just couldn't take it anymore. And so, MJF, being a classic heel, locked in, took the title from the beloved babyface after a 40-day title reign, where Darby Allin was just giving in. Darby Allin will walk up on the street and give you a title shot if you ask for it. That's not what you do with a title. So I'm happy to see Darby Allin's title reign come to an end. I am a Darby fan. I do believe that Darby should have been a world champion, but he should have been a world champion in a more traditional world champion sense. What he was doing was just stupid. What he was doing was just ridiculous. And in this match, Darby Allin attempted to murder himself several times. Nearly broke his neck diving out of the ring. Busted his head open on a coffin drop. I mean, Darby, do you want to wrestle? Or do you want to be put in a wheelchair permanently of your own doing? Slow down, bud. Slow down. Take a breath. Take a break. You don't have to be the ultimate Mick Foley, and you certainly don't have to be the ultimate Jeff Hardy. Because even Jeff Hardy and Mick Foley weren't busting themselves open the way you are doing. Just slow down. It's going to be okay. You don't have to literally die in the ring for us to like you, man. It's all right. Excuse me. And again, with the story, Darby Allin did have MJF trapped in the Scorpion Death Drop, and it looked like MJF was going to tap. But with the blood loss and with him running himself ragged by giving every Tom, Dick, and Harry and Harry's mom a title shot, Darby Allin just collapses while still holding MJF in a Scorpion Deathlock. So freed from the Scorpion Deathlock, MJF goes to the top rope, gives him a avalanche tombstone power driver to pick up a win. Darby Allin was literally stretchered out of this match. And for what? Just to still lose the title to MJF. That's why I said, Darby, slow down. You want more story? After the match, Kevin Knight comes out, frog splashes Darby Allin through the stretcher, essentially turning heel on Darby. And that is how we close Double or Nothing. Easily better than anything WWE put out this year. WrestleMania included. And I certainly don't think Clash in Italy is going to be able to compare. That is how you put on a wrestling show if you actually give a fuck about the people that's consuming your product. That is how you put on a wrestling show. That is also highlights my main frustration with WWE. I mean, with AEW, is they should be blowing WWE out of the water. But times are changing. The winds are changing, are blowing. I'm hearing more people talk about AEW that has specifically not talked about AEW. And I'm talking about content creators. Content creators that were WWE specific and only cover WWE. I'm seeing a shift. Everybody, and I mean everybody, is talking about Double or Nothing. With good reason. This was the best wrestling program this year. And it holds up against 2025 as well. Guys, this has been the Tree of Woe Wrestling Podcast. That was my little review of AEW Double or Nothing. I had to do a video because everyone else did, and I wanted to give my 2 cents on it. Just because I'm going to come at you non-biased. I'm going to come at you factual. I'm not going to come at you with bias, with feelings, and with tribalism. If I tell you the show is bad, it was terrible. I'm not trying to downplay anything. If I tell you the show was good, it was good. I'm not trying to overhype or overblow anything. AEW killed it in This Week in Wrestling. That's the way it is. You sports entertainment cucks. If you feel differently, let me know in the comments. But I'm not going to entertain those comments because everybody who saw Double or Nothing and who saw Saturday Night Main Event and who saw SmackDown, we know the truth. And if you saw the Monday Night Raw that followed This Weekend in Wrestling, the truth is apparent. This has been the Tree of Woe Wrestling Podcast. I am the Black Patriot. Like, comment, share. I will be here. I will always be here, bringing you the dopest wrestling content on the net. Guys, thank you. Peace out and stay safe.